Are you looking for something new in the ARPG space? Fighting dragons. With a fantastic skill system where you need to mix and match these tiles together to boost your abilities that they actually get lightning enhanced, for example, because you have this little dragonling, and of these dragonlings, you actually have 4 different ones: fire, ice, poison, and the lightning we just mentioned. And these dragonlings will interact with all your skills, giving you a bonus lightning aura, fire projectiles flying out, a protective bubble if you cast a skill, and you get to mix and match all of this in the Ancestral Grid to make it work, to then hit the symbiosis option right here and have all your abilities get a bonus. For example, I have this ancient rune that I can cast around myself that will give me barrier. And if I get this lightning enchanted, instead of just having the runes around me, there's also going to be a field of lightning that periodically damages your enemies. Game's called Dragonkin the Banished. This is not sponsored. It costs 20 bucks on Steam. I bought it myself because I was looking for something new and exciting. Now let me present you how the game actually works, how the systems interact with each other, and also the upgradable town that you'll have to get bigger and better throughout your playthrough, plus the actual endgame grind they already have for you, with an inclusive chaos mode that lets you just go harder, and harder. Dragonkin at its base is a spender generator kind of game. I spend with my core skill, and then I use my basic skill to get back the energy, to then keep spending, to then get it back, to then keep spending. With the Ancestral Grid, you're going to be trying to minimize the impact of having to use your basic skills to get things back. There are hexes that will have energy gain, so when I actually then use my core skill, I'll gain energy back, or if I use my jump, for example, I'll gain energy back. And you can reduce your cost too by up to 40% later on, so it's certainly possible to get away from the spender generator. But this is the basic while you're leveling, while you're getting there to unlock the Ancestral Grid. If you don't like this, might not be a game for you, because you might not just like to spend, generate. We do have 3 different characters: the knight, which has fire stuff, we get the mage, mostly lightning focused, and there's the barbarian, ice things. There's also a 4th class, the ranger, and then the roadmap is outlined for that one to come in summer, including new skills, new endgame content, more skills, multiplayer in autumn, because right now we're playing this all on our PC, single player, offline. Not this permanent online shebang bang. The interesting part right now is my main character is level 20 and my city is actually level 6 already offline. If I now create a new character, I can make myself one that starts at the prologue in the story or just jumps straight into the end game with whatever class I want. So I just want to play the knight right now, but I don't want to go through the story again. So I'll just create him and boom, I'm right away at the same spot where my barbarian is, and I can engage in the endgame mechanic to level him up without having to go through the tedious story again. Now the story gameplay in itself, pretty linear. Go from X to Z to kill some mobs, to get some elites down, do a dungeon purification. I was hoping for a bit more meaningful bosses like we've had in Path of Exile with cool mechanics and stuff. I did get that towards the middle point and the end of the first chapter. Those were great highlight moments. I was getting a bit miffed about having just standard bigger elites as your opponents, but then we get the final fight, the chapter fight, and I was like, wow, this made it all worth it. So they did a good job on the bosses. But the main outstanding feature is the Ancestral Grid together with a Wyrmling. Again, I choose a lightning Wyrmling right now. Whenever the Wyrmling levels up, you get points that you can spend and refund at the same time. What you do with these spend points is you put 10 in and you can choose your first ability. Do you want to deal more damage to enemies with high HP or deal more damage with projectiles? I'm using mostly projectiles right now, so I'm going to swap over to projectile damage. Then we can get more XP from enemies that are nearby, and the more points we put in, the more things we're getting. And that goes on and on here. So this is damage over time increase or bonus damage dealt by useful skills, followed up by bonus damage dealt when low energy, and also increased damage dealt by summons, and so forth. The same is actually your normal attributes as well. I can get myself bonus damage to nearby enemies and more block chance, but I can also increase my walking speed. Then I can get myself damage dealt when HP is high, and I can even get myself more energy or barrier, whatever I feel like, whatever is necessary, all the way down there to armor piercing, bonus damage, barrier regen, duration, more life drain when I level up things. And at any point, you can just pull the points back if you don't like it for the current build. If you change something in the Ancestral Grid, if you go away from projectiles, nothing is permanent. Everything is interchangeable as you then progress through your journey. Now let's look at the Ancestral Grid. How does it work? You have two things here. You have your main skills, like my Frost Jump, or in this case, my Resonating Strike, and they have different tiles bound to them. This is a Resonating Strike, for example, just with a reduced cost. This is a Resonating Strike together with bonus projectiles, and it's already a 3 energy bonus projectile. With 3 energy, it's projectiles plus 1. And if I had 15 in total, by taking this that also says bonus projectiles and putting it next to it, the Resonating Strike suddenly has 5 energy into the bonus projectiles. But I need way more to really make this work. That's why you want the green rarity, the rare ones, and later the legendary tiles, because they straight up have more energy. Now, how are we mix and matching everything? How do we get the modifiers going and all that stuff? I put my Resonating Strike here in the middle. And now I choose to want a shockwave. I want my Resonating Strike when it hits to be able to make a shockwave. No problem. I'm just going to put this one right next to it. Since it's touching and both of these modifiers marked in green are working, we already get points towards our symbiosis. Because if a skill has symbiosis, it gets lightning imbued and does a bonus lightning effect. And then on top of your normal skills, we have our Wyrmling skills. It says on the top, Wyrmling skill. Upon activation, the Wyrmling causes a lightning to strike at a random location. Okay, this is my normal strike. And if I now put the Call Tempest next to it, there is random lightning strikes happening when I actually activate my skill. Not the only thing though. By killing an enemy, the Wyrmling gains a chance to create an electric projectile that orbits around you. So you murder things and you get a shield of lightning that just hovers around you. Then we get Lightning Storm. While inflicting damage, the Wyrmling has a chance of calling a lightning strike at the location of its target. Perfect. So we're now having, with every activation in a 4.9 second cooldown, the lightning strike down around us. Then we're dealing damage and we can strike more lightning. And we're also having the electrified blades. The interesting part is the electrified blades are projectiles. So instead of getting 1, I would get 2 because it's touching these tiles. So it says here, mods applied, bonus projectile. This one is projectiles too, so it's bonus projectile as well. And this one is projectiles too, so it's bonus projectiles as well. You kind of notice how this is all unfolding. And the more we level up, 25, 30, the bigger the Ancestral Grid gets. The goal would be to have every skill on symbiosis. This one here is my Survivor Spirit. Right now it has 6 modifiers around it. In this case, we're getting cooldown by 6%. Upon activation, we repel nearby enemies. While the skill is active, we gain evasion, damage resistance bonuses. Nice. And we have greater area of effect. That also applies partially to the ancient runes. That is linked at least to the cooldown reduction. Main goal would be to have this electrified, and also to have my jump that I have here on the left side electrified as well, which has double strike. So now my dude not only is able to do all the things it did already, no, it does on top have the double strike. If you ever want to know if something interacts with each other, you just hover over it. I hover over my skill and it shows all the supports that will work together with this skill. And if I don't feel like playing this anymore, I can just dump it away and, for example, choose my Axis of Toriel instead of using the Resonating Strike. The main thing you want to look out for is that you have a good main skill with the respective amazing things on it. Here I wanted to have bonus projectiles. Great, that works fantastic for Resonating Strike. But again, I could also play my dude with a Meteoric Projection. What does Meteoric Projection do? Meteoric Projection is an ice throw, like this. But obviously, this Meteoric Projection, in order to work plenty well, should touch bonus projectiles. Now, if you're not using Resonating Strike, then I'd have to move all of these out, take my Meteoric, go into the search bar, choose projectiles, and now we're going to look for where do I have bonus projectiles. Okay, here I have 2 energy together with electric reinforcement. That's fine. I could potentially put it then right here. Good. Now this is linked with the bonus projectiles, but it's not enough because this only has 2 energy. I would need 3 energies, so I need to find now another bonus projectile like with this skill, and now I would have 4. I could make it work, but it seems a bit inefficient. So instead of taking the one with the winged invocation, I'd rather gonna take the reduced cost one because now it's touching this and we already have 6 modifiers happening. So now I'd only need to have 2 more modifiers that actually work with this skill. Like I'm gonna put this in and we need another one. So I'm gonna put this in, boom, and it's electrified. So now it's not only double projectiles, it's also doing that lightning strike as it then arrives. And this you can do not only with lightning. I can just take my fire dragon, or I can just take my poison dragon, or I can take my ice dragon to make it all just fit together the way I feel. Generally speaking, for projectiles, there's a lot of good fire skills to then have bonus projectile and have a full projectile build, have bonus fire damage on top of the ice damage you're dealing. And your equipment kind of feeds into that as well, as we can take an axe that gives us bonus armor piercing and cooldown reduction. The cooldown reduction will work for your Wyrmling skills, but also for your throwing skills. You can get bonus energy and energy gain as well on your bracers, that you get the energy faster back, attack speed, all that kind of stuff. The interesting part in their equipment is not the rarities. We got standard common to mythical all the way with just more stat points per tier going up. No, if we're going all the way down, you have divine gear. Divine gear can only drop from a certain difficulty onwards. Divine gear will just boost 1 stat higher. So critical strike chance here is 25% higher. Nice. But your gear can also be draconic. So you can have a legendary draconic weapon or common draconic weapon that will have 2 bonuses and 1 malice. And the kicker is you can also have divine draconic gear. So you can get a legendary divine draconic item if you then play the hardest difficulty. Talking about difficulty, at any given point from the very beginning on, you can just go here and change the difficulty. You can do easy to make everything simpler. You can play medium, that's normal. Then we can go for hard, XP gain 5%, 10%, 20%, and so on. But monsters are getting significantly more sturdy. So the better you get, the more efficient your build gets, the more energy, the higher rarity tiles, the better equipment, the more your attributes are going up, the higher difficulty you can go to then boost your character forward. It's quite nice, and it goes all the way to Calamity 1. Calamity 1 is the highest you can do currently in the early access. I have not been here. The highest I have been personally has been Desolation 1 so far, and I couldn't really go much further because I was already getting my ass beaten there. And this is important for the hunting board. Hunting board, hunts are your endgame mechanic. How do they work? You choose to do a hunt and they have a standard difficulty. For example, that one is medium, extreme, then desolation, and calamity. So you get to actually be really good. You do get spoils for that in terms of augmentations to get permanent boosts or to have your chaos hunts that are then randomized fun hunts and random difficulties and all that kind of stuff with different modifiers because chaos hunt is now dungeon purification. And you can anyways, on the ones that you have done already, choose to do them again, or generally if I want to make this hunt harder for myself, can bump up the difficulty if I so wish to. But you gotta do this one in Calamity 1. You gotta get better to actually get it done. Now, how does a hunt play out? It will pretty much throw you right onto the map. You have to do some quest objectives, get a dungeon purification done, which is kind of like a Diablo 3 Rift, and at the end you're gonna fight a boss. This could be a big dragon. I have fought a Hydra. There's been a water dragon. And there's probably way more opponents coming down the line. Different bosses. More fun to be had with mechanics. And these hunts were challenging. Yeah, they were kicking my ass. Especially as I maybe went a bit too deep into the difficulty. Now, as you do these hunts, you'll level up, but you'll also level up your city. And every single city level, you get 1 upgrade to choose from. And that can be quite harsh because they often want to upgrade the training grounds as possible because that's a permanent experience boost. That being said though, I needed to take the lift because boost the walking speed of all characters by 50. That's insane. This applies for all characters that you create in this city, by the way. We got the potion apothecary to craft our own potions. That was cool, but at the same time, it felt like a waste because I should rather upgrade this one further to have more Ancestral Grid places, or to have all attributes of my character permanently boosted, or to have all characters receive 5 attribute points. You kind of notice you do want to upgrade your city because it's a permanent boost for your charm, making you better. And yes, there is an artificer and an ornamentalist, a memorialist, an enchanter. We got artisan's guild. There is the jeweler coming. We got the master of scales, whatever that's going to be. Treasure hunt to get more gold. We got the arsenal. There is many things, and not even everything is unlocked in the early access yet. Bunch of things to get done. Now to the negatives. The game is early access and it's not fully released. You only do have story-wise Chapter 1, Prologue 3, Heroes 4, Wyrmlings, Ancestral Grid, that piece of endgame content, and the city. There is more to come, and I would say with the 3 classes and the current content available, 20 to 40 hours of gameplay, depending on how much you fall in love with the game, is possible for that price tag. And if that sounds interesting to you, could be a game for you. I really do love the Ancestral Grid. I've already done 3 different builds, mix and matching, having fun flying around. You are a bit limited by the skills you find. So if you're not finding the skill you want, if you're not finding the supports you want, it could be harsh to play things, but you have plenty to choose from. With my Barbarian, I can also go for an Ice Breath based build and then actually just do this as my main form of damage. And we get the Throwing Rock. You get the jumps, you have your basic attacks, you can mix and match it then with 4 different Wyrmlings. Again, you don't have to stay with the lightning Wyrmling. I can do the fire, frost, poison, whatever I feel like, if I then have the skills to put in there. There is a lot of potential, and I do think the game really is good, great fun. If you want to see me actually enjoy the game, my live reactions to everything, here is the live stream, and please do tell me in the comments below, what do you think? Something for you? Not for you? Enjoy. Have a good day.